Atma, Namaste. I take refuge in the Dharma, in the teachings. I take refuge in the Sangha, in the spiritual community. I take refuge in the Buddha, in the spiritual teacher. According to Buddhist text, on the night the body of the Lord Buddha was conceived, his mother, Queen Maya, dreamed of a white elephant with 6 white tusks entering her right side. 10 lunar months later, Siddhartha was born. The Lord Buddha was born from the Shakya clan. It is from that name that we hear him called Shakya Muni. It was the tradition for the wife or the mother who had become pregnant to return to her family home to give birth. But Queen Maya did not make it to her family's home and gave birth in a garden beneath a sal tree in Lumbini, in an area today called Nepal. The day of the Lord Buddha's birth is widely celebrated as the festival of the Wesak. About the Lord Buddha's physical life. At the age of 16, his father arranged a marriage for him to a cousin of the same age, and eventually had a son. Then, at the age of 29, he left the palace, and he saw 4 sights. He saw, for the first time, old age, sickness, death, and saw a monk. He did not know before that time that everyone who is in a living body would be subject to suffering. Lord Buddha decided that he would search for enlightenment by leading an ascetic life, begging for alms in the street. And he searched for enlightenment by practicing fasting and self-mortification. He nearly starved himself to death. Then one day he collapsed in the river while bathing and almost drowned. He began to reconsider his path. He went to Gaya and meditated under a pipal tree or a bodhi tree. And it was there that he reached his goal, that he achieved enlightenment. There are approximately 1.2 to 1.6 billion people who practice Buddhism. How are the teachings of Master Choa Kok Sui with those of the Lord Buddha? When students attend the classes of Master Choa Kok Sui on Buddhism Revealed, then they learn more deeply the interrelationship between the teachings of the Lord Buddha and those of Master Choa Kok Sui. Should this be taken to imply that the teachings of Master Choa Kok Sui are only Buddhistic in nature? Oh, because truth is universal. So when Master Choa Kok Sui would travel in Indonesia or in areas where people are followers of Islam, they would say, "Master, from your teaching, we would think you must be a follower of the Prophet, peace be on him." And when he would be in India, the students would say, "Master, you are teaching us things about our Hindu religion that we did not know." Because truth is universal. Many of the concepts given to us from the Lord Buddha are timeless and can be applied to people of all religions, all philosophies. During the first discourse of the Lord Buddha at Sarnath, in the Deer Park, he gave the teachings of the 4 noble truths. That there is suffering, that there is a way to alleviate the suffering, and that the way to salvation is through practice the Eightfold Noble Path. He said that suffering is in part caused by excessive, unwholesome desires. But Master Choa Kok Sui teaches us that the desire to have a good life, the desire to give your children a good education, the desire to have a good home for your family, are wholesome emotions, wholesome desires. So unwholesome emotions or desires need to be separated from wholesome emotions and desires. The life of the Lord Buddha was not particularly smooth. And yet it was because of his lack of reaction to possibly upsetting events that he gave us examples for people to follow, to more deeply understand teachings in order to transform their lives. At one point, his Sangha, in his spiritual community, some of his disciples were accused of committing a certain crime. The Lord Buddha advised them that people may accuse you or scold you, but you do nothing except to recite the words, "Those who lie, those who deny what they have done are equal in their evil deeds and will suffer. Be patient, and people will see how calm you are and will grow tired of scolding." Within a short time, the accusations of his disciples ceased. People remembered that the Buddha and his disciples were virtuous and had never been known to previously commit an evil crime. They remembered that anyone associated with work of compassion will not do consciously a wrong thing. It is an example to us that we must have unruffled mind. In another story, the Lord Buddha talked about miracles. When he was asked about miracles, he said there are three kinds of supra-normal levels. The first kind is about the marvel of the supranormal power to appear to many people or to pass simultaneously through walls, to fly in the air or to walk on water. All of these are physical actions that ordinary people cannot perform. Second supranormal power is the power to read other people's minds. And the third supranormal power is to be able to guide people according to their mental development for their own good, using suitable methods fit for those people. The Lord Buddha advises us not to engage in the first two areas of supranormal powers. He advises that we use our powers to guide people according to their mental development, which is the equivalent of Master Choa Kok Sui saying to us, spread the teaching. Spread the teachings. As the Lord Buddha lay dying, he said to his disciples the following words: "The doctrine and the discipline which I have set forth and laid down for you, let them, after I am gone, be your teacher. It may be that there are some monks who have doubts. There could be some doubts in the minds of some of the brethren. Doubts regarding the Dharma, the Sangha, the path, or the method. Allow the monks to inquire freely. You do not have to reproach yourself with various thoughts. When our teacher was face to face with us, and we could not bring ourselves to inquire of the Exalted One when we were face to face with Him, then we have to listen to the words of the teacher. We have to read his books, hear his words echoing in our minds, because this is how we work out our practice of being mindful. The Lord Buddha said, think, monks, I tell you, implement all of our compounded things. What are these compounded things? The teachings. And deliver the teachings with mindfulness. The Four Noble Truths must be experienced in order to be comprehended. We journey in our life from ignorance into illusion or delusions, misconceptions, and false impressions of what we think reality is. Then from within our consciousness come names and forms. And from names and forms come our senses. And from our senses come our feelings. And from our feelings come our cravings. And from our cravings come our clinging. And from clinging comes becoming a physical body. And having a physical body leads us to old age, death, sorrow, pain, distress, and suffering. So where does suffering come from? What is the origin of suffering? How can it be stopped? What is the way or the path to the cessation of suffering? Whatever is subject to origination is subject to cessation. Nothing is permanent. Whatever has a beginning has an end. Suffering happens. We get stuck mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. We keep focusing on the past instead of moving on with our lives. Instead of continuing on with our lives, we get stuck. And so then we're not really living. Master Choa Kok Sui said we need to be realistic. That we need to be smart. That we have to move on with our lives and not get stuck. That we should not have unrealistic expectations. That we should not have excessive, unwholesome emotions. No excessive, unwholesome attachment. Because Master Choa explains to us that life is a series of attaching and de-attaching. That we must have the ability to flow or we cannot move. So life is a series of holding and releasing. Life is governed by the law of change, the law of cycle, and the law of consequence. We must learn to desire without attachment, to aspire without attachment, because these attachments are some of the root causes of suffering, disappointment, and exasperation. We must be able to flow mentally, to adapt and to change, to avoid mental fixations, bringing us unrealistic expectations. We must be guided by intelligence and controlled by our will. The way to overcome suffering is the Eightfold Noble Path. In one discourse, the Lord Buddha discussed 4 types of bliss that a layman can enjoy. Within the first 2 months of his ministry, he had gathered from 5 disciples to 60 disciples. And within a short period of time, he had well over 1,000. And he developed arhats, those advanced souls who have the capacity to assist in transforming the consciousness of mankind. What are these 4 types of bliss that laymen can enjoy? Specifically, he mentioned the bliss of ownership, the bliss of wealth, the bliss of being debtless, having no debts, and the bliss of being blameless. The bliss of ownership means that we gain satisfaction through becoming rich by honest hard work. The bliss of wealth is the satisfaction or the enjoyment we gain through the fulfillment of our duties. The bliss of being debtless is the satisfaction we get when we know we are not incurring large debts or small debts to anyone. The bliss of blamelessness is the satisfaction derived by a person whose actions, in right thought, right speech, right action, do not cause harm to others. We are free from blame. All of this gives us the understanding that the Lord Buddha did not say everyone must become a monk to evolve. Just like Master Choa Kok Sui, who said that we can evolve more quickly by living within the family than sitting alone on the top of a mountain. Because within the family we must practice patience, tolerance, and flexibility. The Eightfold Noble Path is a part of Arhatic Yoga. In Master Choa Kok Sui's book, The Origins of Modern Pranic Healing in Arhatic Yoga, he discusses the 5 virtues practiced by Arhatic yogis. One of those virtues is objectiveness, or accurate perception, correct expression. From the Buddhist viewpoint, this is right mental perception. What is right mental perception? It is holding the perception that everything is subject to change, that everything is subject to the law of karma, that everything is subject to the law of cycles, that there are many things in our lives that we cannot control. It will be very tough to have 100% control of things in your life, unless you too are a Buddha. To have accurate mental perception means that you do not perceive unwholesome emotions or embody them in your life. Gambling, excessive drinking, smoking, addictions, maliciousness, anger, jealousy. These are causes of suffering. So the flaws of character must be eliminated. And there is another cause of suffering: identification with the body. The moment you identify yourself with your body or with your emotions, you are less connected with your Buddha nature. So you say, I will have right mental perception or right viewpoints because I am the soul. I am connected and one with my higher soul. I am connected with my Buddha nature. I am connected with the divine spark within me. I am connected with the Adi Buddha within me. Correct expression is based on right viewpoint. This means we must practice right thought, right speech, right action. That with our Sat Chit Ananda, our will, our intelligence, and our love, that we will practice and that our actions will manifest as honesty and non-lying, as loving kindness and non-injury, as generosity and non-stealing, as constancy of aim and effort, and as moderation and non-excessiveness. To know and understand the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths requires more than 45 minutes of discussion. These are only a few small reminders regarding why people practice Buddhism in its various forms. Because 100 years after the death of the Lord Buddha, the Sangha divided into the Theravadan Buddhists and the Mahayana Buddhists. These divisions are not important. What is important is that the practices and the concepts given to us by this great world teacher are viewed with reverence, are held in purity, and that we honor the source from which they have come. Who is the source in our lives? In our lives, it is our beloved Guru Dev, our Guruji, Grand Master Choa Kok Sui. There are many instructors, like this lecturer, but there is only one spiritual teacher in our tradition, and it is Grand Master Choa Kok Sui. Let us remember the three treasures. I take refuge in the Dharma, in the priceless teachings. I take refuge in the Sangha, in the spiritual community. I take refuge in the Buddha, in our beloved Guru Dev, our spiritual teacher, Grand Master Choa Kok Sui. Atma Namaste.